Hello and welcome back to another episode of You Want to Do What. Today we've got Cat Philp on, and she is the CEO and founder of ES Marketing. Hi, Cat.
Hello, pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you on. Should we jump straight in, Cat? Do you want to tell us a bit about what you do?
Absolutely, yes. So what I currently do is marketing. So I have a marketing agency which started up about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, something like that, which we're currently in the middle of rebranding. So when you said ES Marketing, it was just foreign to me because I've just had a completely different name for the past 3 months, but obviously nobody knows about it yet. We're currently repurposing it to be called Pivot Marketing. So it's going to kind of have a play on words, like the pivot your marketing, and effectively rejigging the packages a little bit to more of a consulting point of view. So that's kind of what we do. We market B2B businesses in particular.
Okay. So marketing, how did you get into it? Why are you in it? How did it all come about?
So I kind of fell into it actually and then enjoyed it after realizing what it was. But when I left school, I reached out to a contact that I had who I knew had vacancies available for apprenticeships. And I was reaching out originally to start in the accountancy industry.
Quite different.
Very different, but I'm very analytical, so it worked in my favor. But yes, like you said, very, very, very different. So I reached out to him and he actually said, I've unfortunately got no more accountancy positions, but we do have marketing positions. So, right, okay, well, let's have a look at that. So started my journey as a marketer, then worked my way up in the industry, and then jumped around into sales, back and forth between sales and marketing, as they're very similar. And then kind of really loved it from there and took it on, I suppose.
Okay. And so marketing, it wasn't something you'd study at university, or did you go to university at all?
I went straight from school into an apprenticeship, but then with that apprenticeship, alongside that, I started my bachelor's degree with the Open University in business management. Well, actually, that's a lie. I started with languages just because I really have a passion for it. And then I moved into business management and languages. And now I'm doing a master's in marketing and data analytics. So it goes pretty well.
Okay, that's really interesting because a lot of the marketers we've had on, when we talked about university, some of them have like you gone straight into work, and others went to university and studied marketing. But we found a lot of them that went to uni and studied marketing have said actually they'd prefer to have done the route that you've done. So it's really interesting to hear that you've now decided to go back and do a master's in marketing. Why have you made that decision out of interest?
So I do agree. I think that kind of having that applied knowledge, the kind of you can learn at the same time as working, I think that's definitely really worked well for me. But I find that there's also a lot of gaps, in knowledge and whatever. And I wanted to kind of do more of the strategic consulting side of things. And therefore, I kind of wanted to kind of advance my understanding in marketing, and therefore took on the masters to kind of help that and to kind of help my standing in the industry, I suppose.
You already mentioned earlier, obviously, you wanted to potentially start in accountancy. Obviously, a numbers person, and clearly your master's is in analytics as well. For me, I quite like the analytics. I kind of live on Excel day to day, so
music to my ears.
So it's always quite an interesting thing talking to people in marketing, because it is such a big part of that job. Because while you can be producing incredible content, if you don't know what's actually working, there's no point doing it. So what draws you to that analytical side of marketing?
I don't know what it is. I really don't, but I've always had a kind of a flair, a passion for numbers, I suppose. And I'd always memorize numbers over everything. So I look at something and for some reason those numbers would stick in my head. Like, I know, probably shouldn't disclose this information, but I know all of my credit cards off by heart. So it's just been something that's there. So I really enjoy kind of the analytical side, like you said, of marketing, where you're looking at all the data and kind of trying to figure out a strategy to put behind that and, really excel each brand.
It's interesting, isn't it, marketing? Because you either stand at one end or the other. You know, at one end you've got brand, which is incredibly airy fairy is the wrong way to put it, but it's creative, and it's really hard to drill down and get numbers. It definitely adds value, and it's definitely worthwhile doing branding, but you can't distill that into numbers as easily as maybe content marketing, paid advertising. Do you think there's definitely two different routes in marketing, one for somebody like yourself and one for someone who's just maybe not more creative but that way inclined?
I think that's really interesting to hear you say that. I've never really given it much thought in that way, and you're absolutely right, to be honest. There are kind of two separate elements of marketing. I would have to say I think most marketers do enjoy both parts. I mean, I can't speak for all, but the marketers I've spoken to, I know that they quite enjoy the analytical side of things and the creative, because they get to see the numbers behind what they're creating. So I'd say that's probably the same for me.
And do you think those kind of two areas require different skill sets? Because it's interesting to hear you say that you think marketers enjoy both areas. To me, it would maybe be sort of even different skill sets, maybe different personality traits that would lean towards it. I think for myself, I understand what you're saying about the numbers behind the creative, but maybe you lean one way or the other a bit more depending on your skill sets, do you think?
I think that's probably down to personal situation. For me, I'm really, really keen on both. What I've been doing a lot with my personal branding is the creative side of things. I also equally really like the numbers, like I spoke about before. So I don't know, I guess that's probably not something I can answer for all marketers, but certainly can for me. Is definitely I enjoy both just as equal.
And how is it rebranding your company as well as going through university? I can imagine that's quite a handful. How are you dealing with your day-to-days?
Yeah, it is quite a handful actually. It's challenging at times, I'll be honest. I have things that keep me in check though. I have a habits tracking app which kind of makes sure that I get out of bed and I do X, Y, and Z, and and make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind. And the same with an affirmations app that I have, which kind of sends me daily notifications, just kind of spreading positivity, I suppose. So that's kind of how I try to help deal with the overwhelm, but it is certainly difficult because I've also got another couple of brands which I'm building up on the sidelines.
Wow,
so.
You are super busy. I thought we were busy, Tom, but wow. So take uni out and take all the other side bits out. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis with your brand at the moment? What are you actually doing with it?
So the past few weeks in particular, I've been really focused on my personal brand. It's really quite shot up on LinkedIn in particular. And obviously I'm now trying to focus on Instagram a little bit more to support that. So daily I'm kind of connecting with various different people. A lot of people have asked me onto podcasts like this, which is exciting. And I'm mainly focused on the personal brand and obviously the rebrand at the moment. It really varies depending on what I'm going through as a business, but I'm doing a lot of planning because I'm changing the product range a little bit. So there's a whole load of lead generation processes that I'm going through and the analytical fun stuff that I mentioned.
And so what part of marketing is your business focusing on? Say, a business owner comes to you, on what's your sort of value proposition to them?
So we focus basically on the sort of B2B element of businesses, and we're just about to kind of rejig the packages to support the kind of consulting side of things. So we're going to be consulting brands on how they can be creating their digital profile, how to succeed in an online space because everybody's turning digital now, and how they can kind of grow and nurture their leads in order to successfully generate more business. So that element is probably the biggest part of where we're going with this. And aside from that, we're going to have packages which also include the fundamentals of the actual marketing, such as email marketing, social media management, some content strategy, all the sort of typical marketing points which will be included with the consulting.
Wow, very cool. So you mentioned LinkedIn a bit there. This is where we met on LinkedIn. Like we're trying to build our personal brands on LinkedIn, and it's had a phenomenal effect and growth on our podcast at the moment. Are you finding LinkedIn is just incredibly invaluable? You know, for any students listening as well, please get on LinkedIn. It's fantastic at the moment. I think you'll agree with me, Kat.
1,000%. Couldn't agree more. It's funny because I've had it for probably about the best part of 3 years. And for the first 2.5 years, up until about 6 months ago, I didn't really take it too seriously in the way that I am now. And I think it's so invaluable to anything and anyone. And that's all I see nowadays on LinkedIn is how invaluable LinkedIn is, which is really interesting. It's just, I couldn't even explain why, but it's just it's a positive space, and it's people just being authentic now, and it's really hard to find that on social media because you've got the likes of Instagram, for example, which is all about the visuals, and usually people are more competitive on there in terms of trying to brag about what they're doing, and you know, whereas LinkedIn is more, I don't know, it's kind of more authentic, more like, oh, you know, we understand, like the content that I'm putting out there certainly is along those lines, and I think that there are a lot of content creators which are bringing more positivity to the world of social media.
You make a great point there as well about Instagram being a very visual. You know, we being a podcast, and this is just breaking it down for us, we tend to struggle with the visual, especially being an audio only podcast. So, you know, if you just apply that to what we're talking about here, LinkedIn is fantastic because it's more of a story based. You can tell better stories. You can actually write. It's like a platform you can write on, whereas, you know, Facebook's kind of a bit dead. It's kind of a lot of video on there. Instagram is your visual. So it's all about using different social medias for what you're good at, right? And if somebody's going to showcase their skills, think about if it's visual, or think about if it would be better on written. Would use LinkedIn, right?
Yes, absolutely. And then you've also got TikTok to add to that stress as well.
Yeah, TikTok. I haven't quite mastered that yet. I did try and do a few videos, but I'm maybe too old for it, I fear.
Too old? Not at all. Never. Never at all. Do you listen to a lot of Gary Vee? Because he always talks about how you're never too old to do anything.
I do listen to Gary Vee, but I just can't dance on TikTok. I've not got the rhythm.
Dance. Oh, goodness gracious.
I know. I'm saying everything all the TikTok experts say you don't have to do, but it's one of those things for me.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get it.
Sorry, you won the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. What did that involve, and how did that come about?
So I was informed that I'd been shortlisted as a finalist, I think somewhere around September mark, I think, of last year, which was exciting based on, I guess, a number of characteristics that had kind of influenced that in my position X, Y, and Z. And then I was invited to an interview with four people who were entrepreneurs themselves as well, and kind of judging who was going to be the finalist effectively, and that was in November. And so I came out of the interview room thinking I'd absolutely done poorly, thrown the interview, just didn't go in the way that I just wasn't prepared for it. So I didn't think I was going to win. And then March came, and my best friend was with me, and we sat at the table, and I've actually got a video of it because I told her not to take a video because I didn't think I was going to win. But then I did, and it was brilliant. So it's really exciting.
Oh, congrats on that. I mean, that's a remarkable achievement already.
Thank you.
So we were talking a bit about marketing and the skill sets required. If somebody's listening to this and they want to get into marketing, what kind of skills should they be learning? Let's say the top 3 skills somebody that wants to get into marketing should be learning now.
Okay. So I do get this question quite a lot in my DMs, and I usually send them some resources. So I'd say like the first step would be to actually start building up your skill set, because I think no matter what kind of qualifications you have, etc., it's all about the skill set and the knowledge that you have. And with marketing, it's constantly adapting to the new information that comes around. So, you know, that's why to an extent the masters I'm doing might not be as valuable as consuming marketing content on a daily basis. So I'd say if you can, I mean, I started watching TikTok videos. There we go, coming back around to TikTok, but it's literally all my feed is now is just valuable content to do with marketing, entrepreneurship, whatever it is that I like. and the algorithm suggests it to me. So all I would do is just watch as many YouTube, TikTok videos to do with marketing tips, etc. And that's probably the first place I'd go. Then you've got the soft skills, which is actually kind of like the mindset and everything about it, and then learning the consumer psychology behind the marketing that you're doing. I definitely start with those 2 points, and from there, I guess it's just the kind of drive and the self-belief, I think. And a lot of people struggle to kind of switch careers because I don't think that they can, or I think that the importance is to think, right, I've got some skill set here, I kind of know what I'm doing, and then now start connecting with some people, seeing what I can do. Even if you can maybe intern somewhere, do a free project for someone, freelance, something to get you started and get you sort of showing that you can do it and do it again.
So looking down the road and growing your business and, thinking about potentially hiring people in the future, what kind of things would you look for, or what would stand out to you? And you go, oh, do you know what? I really want this person in my business.
I would have to definitely say the top skill is kind of all of the soft skills, the mindset and the ability to grow and learn from their mistakes. So I'm quite good at sensing energies, and so I can tell when somebody's being genuine. And I think it's really important when somebody comes in and they're willing to learn, but they're also willing to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I think that there's a whole load of soft skills that kind of build up to building great people, and it's really hard to find that, because sometimes people will, they won't tell the complete truth because they're afraid that it makes them look bad. But I think that kind of that element would be the top skill I would look for.
And would you be more inclined to hire someone that's got a big LinkedIn presence, or they're starting to build a personal brand and they've showcased their work online, versus somebody who just gives you a traditional A4 CV?
I think that really depends on a number of different factors, but in general, I'd probably have to say yes, just because of the fact that they've gone out of their way to actually try and, the determination that's there versus the effort that's gone into perhaps an outdated CV that we're assuming from this information. There's a huge difference, and as marketers we have to get creative, so it shows that creativity.
And what's the biggest positive for you that you've taken out of working in marketing so far?
Are we talking about the actual industry, or can I say people?
Yeah, you can say people, however you'd like to answer it.
Yes. Well, I think I'd have to say people. I think marketers are a crazy, fun bunch of people. I think, you can't get anyone greater, to be honest with you. Probably about it.
Fair enough. On the other side of that, though, what would maybe be some of the less favourable aspects of the industry you've discovered so far?
I have to say the bad rep that we get from certain types of agencies, where they either don't produce results, or they're the type to kind of do loads of cold outreach via email and sort of try and sell via email, and we get a bad rep for that. So it's quite unfortunate. I remember speaking to somebody, said kind of, oh, what do you do? And said, oh, I do marketing. I said, oh, you're those annoying people in my emails.
I'm constantly surprised people still send cold emails. Like, it must
Me
work
too.
for some of them, but it's just, to me, it just is absolutely pointless, waste of time.
I completely agree. It's just a foreign concept to me.
To round this off, would you still go into this industry knowing everything you know now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I love it. And as I said, the people make it, they kind of give it the extra cherry on top. It's just such a supportive environment. If you do marketing, it's kind of like you're already family. Oh, you do marketing. Oh, so do I. Oh, brilliant. Let's go and get a drink, But yeah, besides the people, the actual work, I love it. There's nothing more exciting, and it's a growing industry, which is set to reach a huge amount within the next couple of years.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Kat. It's been a pleasure to hear about your career and what you're doing, and wish you the best of luck with the future and the rebrand.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, Daniel and Tom.
Thank you. Where can people find you, see what you're up to, and what's going on?
My main channels are definitely LinkedIn, as we discussed, and Instagram.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kat.
No problem. Thank you.